Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are... Happy Friday. Welcome to the EST Hangout. Tom Gazzola, Matt Barrett from the Edmonton Oil Kings play-by-play voice, and then the one and only Derek Van Diest from NHL.com with you. We appreciate your patience. I know the boys went heavy on the morning show. Dusty is tending to his wound. He's going to be okay, guys. He's going to be okay. They're eating pizza. Joaquin made a fresh pot of tea. DVD, you've got some. Maddie, you've already crushed a nice coffee, and I'm ready to go as well. Of course, text us 780-218. You're going to be all right? He says no, he's not going to be okay. Boy, that was a process, but we're away and off and running. So good morning, fellas. How's it going?
Morning. Going great.
Welcome back. Scoop on the job and the team and everything.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, we had a little mini 3-game homestand and got a couple 3-4-1 through 8 games. I think you can live with it and head on the road, and you're going to learn a lot of
7 years.
7 years, yeah. And you know all about those bus trips. They have a 9-gamer coming up.
Yeah.
Break that one down, because I had to ask you about it today, and you're like, well, it starts here, then we go back home.
It'll start in Red Deer on Sunday before we start the U.S. swing. So we'll come back home after Red Deer. Everyone will pack up all their good things and ready for the road trip. Then we'll come back from the U.S. trip. I mean, it's the WHL swing, that's for sure.
Do you remember anything like that?
Yeah, it was fun trips, yeah. No, I was on a couple of treks.
Actually, and it's 6 games instead of 5.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Those are great U.S. cities, though. Yeah. They're like, you get lost in Portland, you can get lost in Seattle if because I think, where are they, Kent?
They're in Kent.
You're in Kent, but I mean, you get a day off, you sneak into Seattle and have some fun. Which one was your favorite of that?
I like Portland.
Portland's fantastic.
I haven't done the trip yet, the U.S. swing, so I'm excited.
Fun.
Well, we can tell you about Portland and our travels with the Oil Kings.
We were the Oil Kings. 2 years. They went to the final against Portland, so we spent some quality time.
Don't just put it in a neat little bow and sum it up like that. We did a lot of stuff.
Like, are you guys allowed back in?
Absolutely.
In Portland,
I mean, the stuff that goes on in Portland, we were like the nicest, the best kids in class, and when we were in Portland, boy, we were acting compared to some.
Yeah.
But where do we microbrews everywhere in Portland.
Yeah, sweet.
And that donut place, Voodoo Donuts.
I've heard Voodoo Donuts before, so I'll have to check one of those out.
At 3 a.m. for donuts. Like, this is weird. Portland's weird, right?
It is a weird city. It really is, in a good way.
In a good way, yeah.
I think it was Star Wars night one night that we were there in the playoffs, and
it's always a lot of fun. I remember talking to when I was in Portland doing a radio show, and the guy goes, he had bad. I don't know. He had heard bad things about Portland. I was like, no, this is a great town. So back in the day, an old 630 Ched host.
Really?
Yeah, well, he was a younger 630 Ched host, but he used to host. And he was disparaging of Portland, and I'm like, no, it wasn't Reed.
I'm teasing.
I was like, no, this is actually a great city, great town, and good people, and I really enjoyed my time in Portland.
It produced Joaquin Gage. Who's here in a meeting right now.
We got, and actually, when we were in Portland, we got to go to Nike Town, which is just in Eugene, which is the road.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is awesome. And
done that, yeah.
So then we got to go to the store, and we had somehow we got VIP. We had 50 or 60% off anything.
Whew. Yeah.
So we were in that store, and people were loading up and buying stuff.
That was Daryl who set that up.
Daryl set that up.
Yeah, great man. He was the president of the Oil Kings at the time.
Daryl Porter.
Daryl Porter, yeah. Now, the other thing, too, is they were switching between the arenas, which are literally right across a plaza from one another. And I remember that one series, it started at, was it the Rose Garden?
The Rose Garden and the Memorial next door.
Moda, I think it's renamed Moda Center now.
Something like that, yeah. And I think they're solely at that
they renoed that. They used to play in the Rose Garden when the Blazers weren't there.
Right.
And they would curtain off the top layer. It was
awesome.
Nice.
I thought it was a great setup.
Great, intimate. They had 6,000 or 7,000 people in the lower bowl. It was really good setup. But now I've been back since they moved back to they did a bunch of rentals.
Memorial Arena.
Arena. Did a bunch of rentals there. So now they're there permanently. They don't have to keep shuffling their stuff back and forth between the two rinks.
I like the Memorial one. That's where the Oil Kings won that championship in, was it 12 or 13? Because there was 12. And,
or 14.
Pardon me. Yeah.
They won in 12 against Portland. I think in Edmonton, and then 14 was in Portland. They won it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a super neat old arena. And I was thinking to myself, like, this is where like Michael Jordan was walking the halls, Larry Bird, right? And you're looking around, they have the windows and they can pull the curtains and open it up. It's really, really neat. And Gager would actually tell stories about like they would practice, but then like they'd have to go from one rink to the other or whatever. Or maybe the other rink was a belt. Anyway, they would end up back at that arena, the Memorial Arena, and then they would see the NBA guys because the court would be out. And they would try to like linger to try to see some of the superstars from the NBA. And I always thought that was really neat. You're
so cool.
WHL players, 16, 17 years old, and there was like MJ and Magic, and they're just here to play the Trailblazers. So really cool. You're going to have a great trip.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That will be a good. Yeah, it's a good trip. A lot of time on the bus though. Bring a book or something to do. I don't know. Do the buses have Wi-Fi now? Imagine them. Some of the buses
Sort of. Yeah. I got a couple. I'll have a few Netflix shows downloaded, and we'll be ready to rock.
What are you watching right now?
Man, like I was watching that Amazon, the Face Off, I believe it's called or whatever. Yeah, that one I was watching.
Dig in.
Yeah, I got a few.
Dig in. Okay.
Dig in. Yeah, I got a few buzzing around. All quarterback. I finally started.
I got
I'll watch
tired
receiver. Yeah, it hasn't. I haven't like gotten hooked in it yet. There's a few like I don't know why, but my girlfriend and I watch like the murder mystery type of like the true crime type stuff. So I'll find a few of those maybe to watch. And
off and running already. Okay, let's get to Hangout headlines brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club, offering premier conditions, top-notch service, and unmatched value. You have 2 days to golf at the Ranch. They're shutting it down on October 20th. Hard Kings game last night. Talk a little bit of Oilers. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, heck yeah.
All right. They get their second win of the season, first on the road. DVD, you were down at Hudson's for the post game with me.
Yeah.
I only had the one headset, so I couldn't bring you on.
That's
so
all good.
all you had was great. Julia, Connor, who else did we meet there? Courtney. Nice to be back at Hudson's.
Yeah.
But while you were...
I thought they played a really good road game. I think I've always said this. I know a lot of people were panicking about the 0-3 start. It's going to take them a while to get back up to speed. It takes you a while to kind of, after an emotional season like they had last year, had an emotional run when you're at the top of your emotions, and then to be disappointed like that. It's going to take you a while to kind of get back and running. And I kind of equate it to, when you go through a breakup, it takes you a little bit to kind of get back and find your groove again. Yeah. I think that's the situation with the Edmonton Oilers. They're starting to get their groove. I think they're getting to a point where they're like, okay, they always talk about, okay, we're over last year, but you're not really ever over it. Like I know I've mentioned this a few times. I lost a provincial semifinal football game 30 years ago. I'm still not over it. Like I still remember some of those plays. I was like, I should have thrown the ball to that guy instead of that guy. And you think about that. You think about the things that you should have done, you could have done instead. And I've won city championships, and I kind of forgotten the championships you've won, but you remember the ones you didn't win. It's one of those things that you kind of, if you're a golfer, you get off the course, you don't think about the good shots, you think about the ones that you left out on the course. Yeah. So I think that's the situation, and I think it's going to take some time, but I get a sense that the Oilers actually are turning the page. Remember, we asked Darnell Nurse about that. He said, hey, it's easier said than done. And they were admitted, it's easier said than done. So I think they're just starting to find some traction, get their game. They know they're a good team. Everyone knows they're a good team. Once they get rolling, they're going to start rolling over people. It's just a matter of kind of getting those wheels going and finally playing together as a team.
For a terrible golfer, that analogy is spot on.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, I'm a sports guy.
Yeah, but how do you know about the mindset? You don't golf.
Well, I don't golf very well.
Yeah, no, that's obvious.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Every winter I say, okay, this year I'll concentrate, and next summer I'll be a good golfer.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, I hit the ball a ton. I just can't give it on the fairway.
Oh, that's a problem, my friend.
It's a problem.
You can't find your ball after your shot. You're in trouble.
You know what though? Remember, I was so proud at the Oilers golf tournament. I played with one ball the whole round.
That's always like a success story.
I had to find it a couple of times in the rough.
Yeah,
but I did, and I was so proud. And Min was like, "Oh, I can't believe you've played with one ball the whole round." So
that is impressive. That is a good feeling.
For a guy that's a bad golfer, and the way I score my rounds is how many balls I lose. So if someone says, "Hey, what'd you shoot today?" I'd be like, -6. It's like -6. Yeah, I lost 6 balls. That's how I score golf.
Wow.
Right?
That's beautiful.
But I was even par, man. I was even Steven.
Okay.
I don't count the number of strokes. I kept one ball for the whole round. which I don't think I've ever done. So I was pretty proud of myself. For that.
Congratulations.
Oh, that's nice.
Well done.
Did
It
not
is
lose the
actually
ball.
a bit of an
Did not hit it in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably count on one hand the amount of times I've done that.
Yeah.
No, I was
I
pretty.
think I had one of those rounds this year.
Yeah.
When you're not covering the Oil Kings, Matt, what have you observed from the Edmonton Oilers, who you guys share a rink with?
Yeah, I was at the game on Tuesday. It would have been against the Flyers there. And first off, Matvey Michkov is electric.
Yes, he is.
He's really good. But yeah, the Oilers trying came out a little slow. The Flyers were able to kind of pounce on him pretty quick, and obviously up two rip. And I think the Oilers finally took it to the Flyers in like the second half of the second period, and then kind of took over from there. And the Flyers looked like a fire drill in their own zone at times.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
You know, I think once they got going, they got a couple saves from Skinner, and you know, that win in overtime, the comeback is huge. You face some adversity and you're able to come back, and the bottom six kind of started the comeback, kind of got the spark for the Oilers, and then it was just like, okay, McDavid and Draisaitl, let's go. So you know, that kind of springboarded them here, I think, into Nashville, and now they're just starting to build again here. You know, now that McDavid and Draisaitl maybe getting going a little bit now, you know, I think that's important, and once they start going, it's going to start going the rest of the way down the lineup.
You brought something up that's actually pretty important, and I'm glad you did. It's that bottom six kind of being the spark.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
How many years have we watched this team and they're like, oh, third, fourth line don't do anything.
Yep, exactly.
Now it's like they have done stuff. They've helped contributed to 2 wins. And again, yesterday it was the power play that ended up being a very brief 5-on-3, nothing doing. They take the time out to leave power play 1 out there. Yep. Doesn't get it done again. Power play 2 goes out there, and then I think the penalty had ended, and then that's when they had the scramble in front, and Jeff Skinner scores a garbage goal. They all count.
Yep. They don't ask how, they just ask how many.
Yeah,
The thing is, when the power play's not going, they're still staying out there for a minute 40, minute 45. Like, I'd be like, you know, if you guys aren't going, you gotta let the other guys give a shot at them. Like, don't give them 15 seconds. Like, I think that's one of the issues is that the number 1 unit stays out there for far too long.
Yeah.
Even McDavid acknowledges that they stay out there for a little too long sometimes.
Well, I mean, we're down there at the rink. We're asking Chris Knobloch, like, are you going to use power play 2? He's like, well, I'm going to try to.
Yeah.
That's gone. It's like, what? It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
First team power play is on for a minute and 45 seconds.
I mean, when you have the elite players you do on power play 1, you obviously want to get them as much ice time as you can.
Well,
but at the same time, like, there is such thing as leaving them out there too long, right? Like, there is a balance.
They are together, McDavid and Draisaitl, on the same line. They went nuclear 4 games into the season.
It took 36 minutes, didn't it?
Hit the panic button, right?
Yeah,
36 minutes into the game 1, they had them together. So it's just it's they're playing better. I just think they're obviously a good team. I thought the backhand played really well. You know, there's still issues there a little bit. I think it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
But I think they're coming along. The goaltending, got good goaltending from Calvin Pickard. Stuart Skinner looked like he found his game in the third period against Philadelphia, made some big saves. So it starts there. If you have got good goaltending, that can really mask a lot of issues in your hockey club. So that's why these goalies are signing for $8.5-9 million a year.
Yeah.
Sturkin, I heard, wants $12.5 million a year.
How? You just saw Ottinger sign for 8.25 over 8 years. How does Shesterkin?
I'd say the two are like, I don't think Shesterkin's, what would that be, like $4 million better?
Yeah.
I don't think he's $4 million better.
No.
Hellebuck's in the $8 million range. Like,
If Shesterkin signed for like 9.5, I'd be like, okay,
how do you
like, I can
justify
get that.
it?
But like, I wouldn't do it.
No.
If I'm running a team, I'm signing a goalie. I'm signing 2 goalies for a combined 10.
That would be ideal.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be ideal. But yeah, like, I don't understand. Like, listen, I know they want to shoot for the moon with Shesterkin and him and his camp, let's call it. They turned down that, what was it, 8-year, $11 million per AAV prior to the start of the season. I don't think it's going to get much better.
No.
And like, I'm
Not
sorry.
if Ottinger just signed for 8. Right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you look at your peers and you compare.
Yeah.
Look at even Swayman.
Yeah.
What did Swayman end up getting? 8.5?
8 something, 8.5, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're not.
What are you thinking if you're Shesterkin?
No.
I'm thinking, I should have taken that $88 million contract offer.
I'm pretty sure because he's not going to get it anywhere else. And you can't spend all your money on goaltending. You need some guys to
exactly.
play in front of him. So, we saw that in Montreal with all that money they spent on Carey Price. They had no one in front of him.
They're still paying for him.
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
insurances. But
LTIR.
Yeah.
Right? He had to stand on his head every game so they could win 2-1.
Yeah.
I guess if it works for you, it works for you, but that's just a lot of money on a goalie.
I don't understand the rationale for Shesterkin. Good luck to him if he can pull off $11 million a year. Good for him. But I'm sorry, after that Ottinger deal and the Swayman deal and all the battling and the back and forth, you're getting Seabass mad. He's getting fired up, calling out Swayman, saying, "I've got 64 million reasons for him to be in camp."
Yeah.
Like if you're Igor Shesterkin, I know it's New York and the Rangers, but
Yeah, I heard it wasn't actually 64, it was like 62.5, but
Yeah.
Seabass there.
he bumped it up.
bumped it up just to make it sound a little better.
What a shock.
Yeah.
What a shock. All right, let's get to some text. 780-218-9999, the Paris Jewelers inbox. Bones says, guys, is it time to split Draisaitl and McDavid up onto separate power play units? We're 5 games into the season. Power play is 1 for 13 this season.
Yeah, no, they'll get it going. They're too cute. Like when the power play is not going, you have that booming shot from the point. I think you need to score kind of like they did. Just shoot the puck, and just you have one more guy in front of the net than they do. Win the battle in front,
Creates
and
some
move
havoc.
on. Creates and then but they're just getting too cute. Like they're looking for that perfect pass, the perfect play, the perfect shot. They just it's the amount of open looks these guys pass up to try and make that one extra passes so far early this season has been just unbelievable. Like we're yelling from the press box, like you're in the slot by yourself, shoot the puck.
Yep.
And then they're looking for that one last pass by the goal line or whatever it is. And, it hasn't worked out yet, but I think just you got to simplify things. When things aren't going well, just simplify it, get it back. Bouchard has a bomb.
Yep.
Right.
He's struggling. I mean, he's a perpetually slow starter. I think it's fair to say that's 3 straight years where his starts of the season have been suspect.
Yep.
Last year was bad. The year prior was bad. And this year he's off to a rough start. Like that holding penalty that the Preds took, that was after Bouchard coughed the puck up twice and was trying to recover a couple of times. They don't come around.
He's struggling, especially in his own end. But, he'll come around. But, he's struggling. But like I said, it just takes a while for these guys to gain some traction. And I think it's going to be a fun game in Dallas because I know Dallas is going to be game 6. They should have won game 6 here in the Western Conference Final. Outshot them, 30-10?
Yeah.
And they couldn't get the tying goal. If they take that series back to Dallas for 7, the owners are in trouble, right?
I thought Edmonton, well, you're right. They were kind of sitting back.
They're kind of sitting back, and they're just holding on for dear life. You got to win games like that sometimes. Like the owners, God knows, they've lost a lot of games like that. You gotta, it's nice that they goalied a team for a change as opposed to being goalied by a team.
I don't know how many times that's happened in the opposite side. Yeah.
Exactly.
Remember last year being like, they got what? Goalied?
Yeah.
And it was like the third game. Lucas Dostal goalied them.
Yeah.
Pardon me. He's just
that's the thing. It's guys that you've never.
He's good. He's legit good. In fact, you like their chances?
It's gonna be you should build a team. I mean, they've got another big test for the Oilers on a road trip here, and if they start building it again and kind of forget about the 0-3.
Dallas loses to Washington yesterday. First loss of the season. We don't really think too highly of the Caps collectively, I don't think.
No.
What does that do to tomorrow's game?
Well, it fires them up even more, right? They've lost the game. What I like about Dallas, you're right, they're well constructed. But what I found them last year is they had these older guys, these mid-30 guys. They had these young guys, these early 20 guys. They didn't have that 28, 29-year-old
the middle
stud, right? Yeah, the
career.
superstar.
right? And I think that was the issue with Dallas is that they just weren't connected in that regard where they had the older guys, they had the younger guys, and the middle guys were kind of missing. I think now those middle guys are starting to kind of become the mature 27, 28, 29-year-olds, and then it'll be interesting to see what comes in underneath them because you want those three layers of players. And so Dallas, I think, has a bright future. I don't know how long those older guys are going to hang on, but they do have some good young pieces coming through. And they drafted and developed well, and they've always kicks in next year. So they got their key pieces locked up. And I think that's the key for Dallas. They got their core players locked up, for the next 7-8 years. And so that's a team that their championship window is just opening. Mm-hmm. And you talk about that.
But they went to a cup like a couple of years ago.
Exactly,
They've been in
right?
a conference final. Like they've been around it for
conference finals.
They're
in their
consistently good.
Now you got the real the next crux of young players. So they've done a good job there in Dallas.
Okay.
Jason Robertson's great. Like
he is.
He's excellent. So
I'll throw this at you guys. We're talking about like the Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers. These are two good teams that we're expecting to be, deep into the playoffs again this upcoming postseason. How about two teams that are supposed to be contenders that are just dogging it right now? We just saw Nashville yesterday. They're winless. They've got Stamkos. Marchessault scores last night, his first goal as a Predator. And then you got the Colorado Avalanche, also winless. You've got Kale McCarr saying it would be better. He had that quote the other night where he was just blasting himself. Like, what the hell's going on with the Preds and the Avs?
Yeah, well, go ahead. You can.
Yeah, I think Nashville is maybe, I don't know if it's an easy answer, but Nashville, like, they added some, when you make so many massive changes like they did, like, they brought in two huge pieces that are kind of, I don't know if they're culture changers per se, but they're big pieces that, change the complexion of your roster. And it takes some time to get, that sort of, how are these guys going to fit with these guys? How do they fit in the room? How do they fit in your lineup? Is Stamkos, is he going to play center? Is he going to play the wing?
Right.
Where do we want to play him on the power play? Like, yeah, you think the preseason's for all that, but at the same time, like, these guys are getting acclimatized to some new line mates, and who's going to be their center? How do they kind of go back and forth with, who all these guys are going to play with? And I think they'll get it going. UC Saros is one of the elite goaltenders in the league, and I've always been a huge fan of Nashville goaltending, whether it was Pecorine or UC Saros.
Right, yeah.
For some reason, I always just gravitate to those guys.
Good.
I like them, so really good. So they should be able to work their way out of this. They, last year they were really good defensively. They're trying to find. They need to get back to maybe that identity of starting in their own zone and build UC Saros out, and then win a couple games 3-2 and get things rolling for them, and then they'll start. I think scoring the way they probably should with guys like Marchessault and Stammer.
Well, to me, Nashville, like we look at the Nashville at the start of last season, and people were talking about they're going to go through a rebuild, right? Then they looked like they were trading pieces when they traded Ekholm here, right? They looked like, okay, they're going to unload some pieces. They were talking about trading Saros last year. Maybe Saros was on the block. I actually talked to UC Saros in Prague at the European Media Tour, and I was like, did you think you're going to get traded last year? He goes, I thought maybe that would happen. I thought they were going to go a different direction.
With Askarov, right?
Yeah. So with him there. So they were looking at that. And then I think they realized it was one of those things that they kept winning. Like they were struggling there for a long time. I remember they came into here and the Oilers just pounded them. Yeah. And then they had that trip planned.
The U2 concert, right?
Trip planned to Vegas from Dallas.
Yes.
And they were all going to go to the U2 for the Sphere, and they just got pumped in Dallas. And then Barry Trotz says, "No trip for you guys." That reminded me of when the Oilers were playing here, and they're supposed to go to Palm Springs for their big trip.
Yep.
And then they got pumped, and then Pat Quinn says, "No trip for us. We're going to practice." Instead, it was like, well, you could practice in Palm Springs. Like, you don't have to show up the guys here.
Probably ice there,
but I think that kind of. So I think then they started playing better. Then they realized, you know what? We're not as bad as we thought. We're actually pretty. We're a better team than we thought. They probably should have beat the Canucks in the first round. Yeah. Would have been awesome had they beaten the Canucks first round. Then we could have gone
They got goalied
for a week. They did, but then they threw away that one game. Weren't they up by 2 goals with like 2 minutes to play or something like that? So they threw that game away. So, and now they look at their team and they're, okay, we're not as bad as we thought. These guys are playing a lot better. Let's just supplement them with a couple of veteran players, see if we can get going. And they just haven't been able to. And maybe Tampa was onto something with Stamkos. They're like, sorry, Steven, you're not worth the money you're asking us. So if you can get it somewhere else, by all means.
He was a 40-goal scorer last year. Was he not?
I think they'll figure it out. Like, I think they're going to be okay. I think they're still good, but I think they're probably a wild card team in that division.
Yeah. That division is so hard. It's a tough division. And Colorado will get going. The problem with Colorado, they don't have no depth. Nothing. Beyond their top 3 guys, there's a huge drop-off there. And if McKinnon and McCarr and
Lekkonen's hurt too, and that's one of their depth.
Yeah, depth guys. But if him and McCarr and Rantanen, if they're not going, that team doesn't have much, and they're struggling in that. They have injuries now.
They haven't gotten a save yet at all.
Landeskog, is he ever going to play? Like he was supposed to be back this
It's 2
year.
full years.
So, what's going on with him? So there's a lot of issues in Colorado. And you talk about championship winner. They won their championship and then they lost some key pieces and they're trying to kind of find it again. And they're just not there. So they have two of the best players in the world. You expect them to turn things around. But you look at that roster and you're like, you guys are lacking some. It was like the Oilers for the longest time. If McDavid and Draisaitl don't get 3 or 4 points a night,
and if they don't get a save,
they're not going to win. They don't get saved. They're not going to win. So it got like a few years ago. Those guys had to have 2 or 3 points every night in order for the Oilers to win. Now you're seeing that. Now they don't. Now they have some guys that can kind of take the load. But I see that in Colorado right now, and that's tough. That's tough for those guys to know, okay, I got to get a goal and 2 assists tonight for us to have a chance of winning a hockey game. That's tough.
Yeah.
Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, get in the nasty chat. Portions of this hour brought to you by The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of EST, promotional products that bring the buzz, The Hive, productmarketing.com. Maddie's working on the pop-up shop. We're going to have some more merch. I saw some... VR Montenegro had a EST hat. We saw one yesterday at a local establishment that we were at as well afterwards. Mm-hmm. So they pop up. We haven't sold it. Like we sold out of what we had. We had a limited quantity last fall. And you see them in the wild, and it's the best when you see like an EST hat on an Oilers broadcast out of town. That happened a couple times. I think it was St. Louis. There was one. And then I can't remember if it was like Nashville or Detroit.
Worldwide, right?
Yeah. We're out there. We got the map inside the studios, and so we'll have that pop-up shop going. And if you do want to get some products and marketing items, go see Chelsea over at the Hive productmarketing.com. Boys, are we watching the World Series? What's going on? Are we watching the road to the World Series in the ALCS and NLCS?
I love the Dodgers. I think they're the best team in baseball. I think they're going to be... And the Mets, they got pounded last night. So the Mets are a team that... It's almost a team of destiny. I went to a Mets game this year when I was in New York. And they needed... I think it was 4 double... They ended 4 innings with double plays. And they ended up winning that game. And I was like, that's just... the way the season has gone, like they're getting home runs at last at bats, and it seemed like they were a team of destiny. But they're a team that was, to me, they were just fluking their way to where they are right now. They got good talent, they have some good players, but it's just the situations they were coming through. But the Dodgers are just too big, too strong, and why you're pitching to Ohtani again, he's going to take a yard. Yesterday I was mad because they pitched to Judge in a situation which I don't think.
Well, Judge and Stanton back-to-back jacks, right?
Well, Judge hit a 2-run shot to tie it.
We're barreling our way to a Dodgers-Yankees World Series.
Awesome.
I am. So.
Yankees-Dodgers World Series. It's gonna be fun.
You okay with that?
Whatever. I'm obviously a Jays fan. Like I was cheer for the Jays, and it was a painful season. But I try and pay attention a little bit here and there. But I mean. If it's Yankees, Dodgers, I'm like, okay, whatever. The richest teams in the league. They spent the most money.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, they always do.
Right?
But the thing is, the Jays should be up there with them.
They
Jays
should.
have a 40 million fan base. They're across the country. But that team has been, like Mark Shapiro and those guys have just run that team into the ground. Yeah. Like they should have gotten rid of all of management. They're like, okay, you guys had 9 years to do something with this team. You haven't done anything with this team in 9 years.
Haven't won a playoff game.
Yeah. Like it's ridiculous. So either you blow up the team and start all over again, or you get rid of management. Like this is it's a situation where if you're gonna blow up the team and start all over again, do you want to do it with the guys that made the mess in the first place, or do you want to bring in some new guys to clean up the mess? Like how can you get the guys that made the mess? Okay, now you guys clean it up. Like you can't. You gotta clean house, but they're not cleaning house for whatever. Reason they're not doing. Then the guy let go with the Epstein. How many World Series has he won since he left?
Anthopoulos.
Oh, sorry, Anthopoulos. Sorry.
Yeah. He's won one for sure.
One, and they've made another World Series.
Yeah. So
whoops.
He's got competitive teams. Sorry, Anthopoulos. He's got competitive teams all over the place. So it's, the call on management was a bad call. Like it was a bad call, and they've held on for too long, and they got to they got to clean house.
Schneider sticking around, Atkins sticking around, Shapiro obviously. Like I know he ushered in the new era of Rogers Center, Skydome. By the way, Rogers Shaw, like this internet thing is they run the internet here like their baseball team.
Good Lord.
Like it's got to be frustrating. I'm not a Jays fan. Like I'm a casual observer.
Yeah,
I don't feel the burden of or necessity.
I don't lose sleep over it. That's for sure.
Yeah, but there are some people that
there
are
are some
just
that
like,
do.
why can't the Jays be good? I love the Jays, and it's like, why do you care about the Blue Jays? You live in Kamloops.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
They're Canada's team. All right.
They should be good though. That's the frustrating part about it. Is
Fine.
that they should be good. They should be drafting, developing.
They have the money, obviously.
have
the
the
pockets
money.
are there to spend, like
Yeah.
you said. The
Well,
AL
yeah.
East, don't get me wrong.
If they
Boston,
need to
New
sign
York.
another player, your cell phone bill will go up by $5. So.
Yeah.
We already
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
most
players.
ridiculous rates
Oh, it's
in the
ridiculous.
world.
It is because there's no competition. I don't want to get into that, but you allow these two giant Bell, Rogers, and Shaw to combine. And suddenly,
They're no longer our corporate business overlords, so don't worry. You can say whatever you want.
but I'm just saying, it was like the newspaper business, allowing the Journal and Post Media to kind of
Yeah.
come together and one big monopoly. It's just
No bueno.
that's not how you run business. And then these guys are doing everything they can to keep U.S. mobile companies out of Canada because they don't want competition. It's free market when they run the market, but when you actually want to bring some free market people in here, whoa.
We can't have that.
Yeah, again,
we
that.
we can't have reasonable
Are you
cell
kidding
phone
me?
plans and rates.
Yeah.
How dare we think about doing that? All right, we have to get to the keyword for our EST FlyAway. Of course, brought to you by the good folks over at the 780 and us here at Edmonton Sports Talk. The 780, homegrown local shop right here in Edmonton. The 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 area code to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online, 780.com. That's the word 7 and the number 80.com, or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport. The 780, Laymass, low budget, local shop online at 780.com or in store, Londonderry, EIA, Southgate, St. Albert, Kingsway. That's where you can get their stuff. They hooked us up with a bunch of t-shirts. We've got that oversized hat in the studio that Dusty likes to wear. And they have some awesome stuff. So the keyword today, text in 780-218-9999 for the EST FlyAway to LA. The keyword today is Chargers. Chargers. Text that in right now, 780-218-9999. Chargers is your keyword, and YouTube Trev will get on the phone and pick our qualifier, and we will get you in there for that draw. Chargers is your key word for the EST FlyAway. It's a trip for 2 to LA. Flights.
To see the Chargers?
Well, you're not going to see the Chargers. You're going to
gotcha.
see the Rams.
Oh,
Matt.
okay, well,
I'm
fair.
getting to it, Matt. Thank you very much. Trip for 2, hotel, rental car, accommodations taken care of us here at EST and the 780. And you're going to go see the Rams and
There you go.
Cardinals, not
Okay.
the Chargers, even though Chargers is your keyword to text in right now. You'll also see the Clippers and the Warriors at the Intuit Dome, which just opened up or is just opening up. And then we'll also send you to Edmonton versus either LA or Anaheim on the hockey side of things. And it's all due to the Cardinals-Rams game. It's one of those flex games, so the NFL will decide, which will dictate which hockey game you can go to. So text in Chargers. Texts are coming in right now to the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. And we will give you a few minutes. Trev will pick a random texter, and we'll give you a call, and you'll be qualified for the draw November 29th on the Nielsen Show. So that'll be good. Out of all those games, which one would intrigue you the most? You got Warriors, Clippers at Intuit Dome, Rams, Cardinals, and then, of course, Edmonton, LA, or Edmonton, Anaheim.
Well, if the Rams are healthy, Rams Cardinals would be a
That'd be a
doozy.
good one.
Yeah, that would be fun for sure. I've seen the Clippers live in LA before.
Dude, we have to.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How was that for
been to
you?
It was fun. It was cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big I played high school basketball.
Well,
and
you're a
stuff, so
small
we went,
man.
Yeah, we went out there for a for a basketball tournament and part of like a trip with the team. And so that was one of the games we went to go see was it Clippers and Bobcats when they were still the Bobcats?
Oh, the Bobcats. Damn.
Like Al Jefferson or something had a double or something like that. It was fun. Like the basketball games down there are awesome. But yeah, I've been to 2 NFL football games, but Rams Cardinals would be a good one.
That'd be a good one. I'm being facetious. Matt's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah. Not quite. I mean, I still can't dunk.
Well, that's a you problem.
That's a me problem. It's a jumping problem.
DVD, the pure athlete, no problem dunking, right?
Yeah, no. I wasn't a dunker. I did play basketball in high school too, though. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you did. You were telling me your story about your basketball days glory.
Oh, yeah, basketball. Yeah, we were talking about that last night.
Yeah.
So last night, my story of glory was I spent the summer. I think it was between grade 10 and grade 11, or grade 11, grade 10, with my family down in Florida. And my uncle lived. He got to work every day. There was a park that kind of divided the communities were all kind of divided, but the park kind of everyone gravitated to that park. And there are basketball courts there, and I made friends and ended up playing 6-7 hours of basketball every day.
Oh,
like just out on the courts there. So it was great. Come back, and I went from sitting on the bench in the 10th grade to starting in the 11th type thing.
There you go.
Starting point guard. So we were playing this one team. I can't remember. They had this super quick point guard. I think he was little Filipino player, really good player. Super quick, but then I discovered when I was guarding him that he couldn't dribble with his left hand. Like 2 dribbles with the left, go to the right. 2 dribbles with the left, go to the right. So I overplayed him to the left, and I overplayed him all game. And
Tell the cocky part.
Well, the cocky part was like, once you figure out, oh my God, this guy can't go left, then you're like, it was seriously overplaying him. I was like, go take the ball to the hoop. So I remember he did try to take the ball to the hoop with his left hand. He couldn't do a left-handed layup. So he kind of just threw it up, and I swatted it to like 4th row or something like that. And then we're going back, and so we were kind of drawing at each other back and forth. And I think that was the first time he's really struggled, because if I played him straight up, he'd blow around me. He was so quick. And then we're going back and forth, and we're talking about this guy was averaging like 32, 33 points a night, but no one else had realized that he never takes the ball to his left. And then we're going back and forth, and I was having a pretty good game. I could shoot the 3 back then. And then I can't remember what I said to him. I said something to him, and he goes, "Oh yeah, well you haven't scored in a while either." And I was like, "Well, you know what? Next time I get the ball, I'm going to take it and score." And I'd kind of forgotten I'd said this to him, because we went up and down the floor 2 or 3 times, and then as luck would have it, next time I did get the ball, because I was bigger and I could take it both sides, go left or right.
Well, you had the summer in Miami playing street ball.
Playing street ball for 6 hours, you
learn some things.
You learn some things, right? I could go left or right. It got to a point where he tried to overplay me to the left. I went up and did a left-handed layup, and I came back and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm left-handed. Just letting you know, left-handed." So he overplays me to the right, go with the right hand. "Oh, you know what? I'm right-handed." and so he was totally confused.
Modest.
Yeah. But this is something awesome. We were having so much fun. And then I remember we were playing, and he had said this to me, and I forgot that he had said this to me. We go up and down the court. I think if I get the ball, fake the left, get the pull up, bank it in off the bucket, score. And then his teammate turns around and goes, "Oh my God, he totally called that." And I was like, "Oh, that's right. I told him I was going to score next time I touched the ball." That's what it was. Next time I touch the ball, I'm going to score, I said to him. Anyway, he ended up winning that game. And this star player who averaged 32 points a night.
We were sitting there going,
we're going to go box and 1 on him. That's how good he was. And then we got to a point, I was like, "No, I got him. Yeah. We're good. And then, I think he ended up with 6 or 7 points. There was a couple of times he did
lock him down, down deep.
And he was just totally frustrated, and because no one had ever figured that out. That was his kryptonite. It's like, if someone lets you go to the left, he can't. And then he ended up, he would go left and dish. He would not take the ball to the bucket.
Holy Trinity male athlete of the year, 1980. Wow. What?
Oh no, was it 91? I think
91. Okay.
Yeah, I graduated in 91, so I won it in grade 12.
Didn't you lose to a guy that was on roids?
Well, I won athlete in grade 10.
Yeah.
Because I made the senior boys basketball team. I was a quarterback of the football team, and I played soccer as well. I was a good soccer player. And then in grade 11, I lost to a guy. Rumors were that he was on steroids, and my friends still bug me about that today. Hey, you remember in grade 11 we lost? And I was like, you know what? I'm not saying he was or wasn't. He was a good athlete. He was a good athlete. Yeah. He deserved to win it. It's not like, so I was like, yeah, I'll win it next year. So they did.
Okay. There's a couple of things that have come out of this. Text comes in
from Brent says, this DVD story sounds like the start of a Cavis Reed pump-up song. Yeah, pretty much. And then another thing, keep those texts coming in. We got a couple more minutes. Chargers is your keyword, 780-218-9999.
So is the store called 780? I thought it was 780.
780.
Okay.
Like the word 7
and 80.
and then the number
That reminds
80.
me of, it reminds me of a story when I had to go buy Uggs for a girlfriend. No,
Yeah.
it was my sister in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
When they first came out. Didn't know anything about, she just sent me a picture of the boots that she wanted, and they said UGG on them. Like, okay, so I went into a store.
I get some UGGs?
I'm looking for UGG boots. And the girl looked at me like I was an idiot. She's like, and they're just for women at the time. I don't know if they make them for men now.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
Probably.
She looked at me like, like you see these on these shows, like these stuck up salespeople.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago and we're down Michigan Ave.
Yes, it's
We're in
very
the
classy
store,
there
Very
and
classy.
modern,
You
yeah.
walk in there. Do you have the UGG boots? And she looks at me. She goes, "Do you mean Uggs?" I was like, I don't know. Do I? I don't know what these.
Is that what I'm looking for? I don't know.
This particular one. And then she's like,
UGG.
oh, we don't have this one, but I'm sure your sister will. No, I was like, if I don't come back with this exact boot,
I am in trouble.
Yeah, I am in trouble. And the funny thing was, like, they would just come out and you couldn't get them in Canada. And this was back when we were on the charter with the team.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like the trip just before Christmas. It was like the 23rd. We were flying home.
Mm-hmm.
And we're flying home. And these come in these big boxes, this huge box. So they know where to
They're
pack
a bit
them.
obnoxious.
So
yeah.
you gotta walk around this stupid box. And I was one of about 10 players that had these stupid boxes. Hey, you got Uggs too for your wife. You got Uggs too. We're all coming back with Uggs.
All
These
this UGG.
These $300 boots, and they're like, my God, 300 because they're kangaroo made for Australia. I can't.
I don't know.
It was like like kangaroo leather, but it was UGG. You mean Uggs? I don't. Do I? You mean Uggs?
Well, this is great because it leads us into Road Warriors, presented by AccuSteel Heavy Haul Trailers, custom manufacturing of heavy haul trailers, quality, innovation, integrity, custom engineered solutions, full repair service, and retrofit department. No patch jobs, better than new solutions. Trusted by the leaders in the heavy transport industry. Get on the road with peace of mind for your large loads. AccuSteel.ca. Talking about being on the road, getting UGG boots for the ladies. And
I know
then,
they're Uggs now.
Yeah, they're Uggs. And then Matt was talking about the 2 NFL games that he's been to.
Yeah.
Which 2 did you go to, and how cool was it to you, or how did you look at the experience?
It was sweet. We did a couple guys trips right before COVID, actually, like the 2 years kind of leading up before COVID. We were going to do a third one, but couldn't. So the first one we did Minnesota because it was easy to get to. We just drove.
Yeah.
We saw Minnesota play Buffalo. It was like week 3 or 4 or
This
something
is
like
in the
that.
new stadium?
Yes, in
Okay,
Minnesota. Yeah,
okay.
and it was Josh Allen's rookie year, and it was that game where he hurdled that Minnesota linebacker.
Oh, yeah.
And he was coming right towards us. Like we were kind of in the end zone. He was coming right towards that end zone. It was sick. It was a sweet play. So that was pretty awesome. And we did the Skol chant and all that stuff. That was neat. And then the next year we did Arizona and saw Arizona play Carolina.
What a matchup.
And McCaffrey was hurt
Yeah.
for Carolina, so we didn't get to see McCaffrey. And then what if Carolina had a QB that year, but they had a backup in or something?
Teddy Bridgewater?
No, it wasn't. It was some no name, and I forget it. But it was one of those games where it's oh, we wish we could have seen these guys, and it was just one of those
I think I know which game you're talking about, and there was a
would've been
guy
week
that
3 or
wasn't
week
even in the
4.
league the year before, and
Yeah.
he rattled off 3 wins that season.
Yeah, I want to say it wasn't PJ Walker. That name rings a bell. It was Kyle Allen. Was it Kyle Allen?
Yes,
maybe?
and he was throwing to guys that he played college with in and around Phoenix because I think he was from there, and then he got signed out of the blue, and he ended up starting a bunch of games and winning, and he beat the Cardinals. I remember as a Cardinals fan,
they did
it was
win
a
that
very
game.
painful loss.
Yeah.
Thank you for that memory. Really appreciate that, Matt.
So good time. We did a couple baseball games too in those two, but yeah,
Baseball
they were
games are
awesome
great.
road trips.
Those are the
Great.
best. Those trips are awesome. I think I've been to 3 NFL games: Cardinals,
Yeah.
Bills, and there was a bunch of Riders fans there in head-to-toe
Oh, yeah.
Riders gear, of course. Steelers and Bengals, where they did the Duck Duck Goose celebration.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
That was a funny one. I was there for that. I was in very rough shape from the night before.
Yeah.
had a tough night.
Those are long trips with not a lot of sleep.
No.
That's
Exactly.
for sure.
Yeah. But powered through that one, and then went to Dallas to see the Cowboys and the Browns. I think it was. Saw Tony Romo. Browns rope-a-doped them, but then actually Cowboys kind of flexed on them in the fourth quarter and won. But like those stadiums are
they're
unbelievable.
unreal,
And
yeah.
SoFi Stadium, where we're sending lucky winner off to, apparently is just outstanding and amazing.
Yeah.
Your NFL experiences.
I think I'm trying to think here. I went to 2 Cowboys games, and the one at the old Texas Stadium. It was interesting. We were in Dallas for an exhibition game, so I was with the team. This is back post me that travel. We traveled for preseason games. Now
Right.
They don't travel at all. They wouldn't travel even in the Stanley Cup final last year. So we're there at the preseason, and there's a 7:00 start for the Stars, but the Cowboys were playing at 1. So I emailed the Cowboys media director. I think his name is Rich Dalrymple or something like that. He's been there forever.
Yeah.
He's been there forever. And I said, hey, we're here from Edmonton. We're here for the hockey game, but we'd like to compare. I made up some stuff. Well, I want to compare what it's like
course
being
you
a
did.
Cowboys game as opposed to a Stars game. And the guy's like, yeah, sure. Come on in. We'll set you 2 spots in the press box in
There you go.
Texas Stadium, which was great. So I took, at the time, I invited the web guy, not Mark. Mark was on the road, but I invited one of the web guys to come
Taylor?
with me. Yeah, Steve Taylor. Yeah. So Steve, let's go. He's like, well, I got some work to do. He's like, do it in the press box at the Cowboys game. I was like, okay.
Hell yeah.
So we went to the press box at the Cowboys game. We were the only ones in suits there because everyone was wearing just, they're wearing slacks and it was weird. We showed up in suits at the game and everyone looked at us like it was funny because we were going to go straight from the Cowboys game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's why we showed up in suits. But it was great. They were playing the Browns too, and I think Tony Romo was it Tony Romo? Yeah.
No, because Roma played at the new stadium only.
Okay,
I
who
think.
would have been the quarterback then?
Because if it was before, I think that stadium opened 2009,
Romo was-
2010.
I can't remember. That maybe it was Romo, but either way, it was a good game. We went, Cowboys won, and then we got out of there and went straight to the hockey game that night. And
Watch the Oilers lose to the
watch
Stars.
the Oilers play a preseason game, and now I'm thinking about it. It's like they didn't have anyone in the lineup. Like it was like, yeah, we were in the preseason game. It didn't really matter. But I did write about the atmosphere at the Cowboys game and how fun it was. The only thing it was is we couldn't drink. You're there working
Yeah.
in the press box, and then I think once I caught the Cowboys in Seattle at the stadium in Seattle. Half the stadium was Cowboys fans. There you go. Half the stadium was Cowboys fans. They're like,
Don't.
It's true.
You've spoken like a true Cowboys
It's true.
fan.
Half the stadium is Cowboys fans.
Get out
You
of
go
here.
anywhere you go, half the stadium is Cowboys fans because they're all over. They have that appeal. But they lost to Seattle, and it was tough walking around a Cowboys jersey.
He bought a. Tell him the helmet story.
Well,
You had a great time in the playoffs.
So I'm a huge Cowboys fan. Like
This
everyone
is
knows
Road
that.
Warriors.
We're learning that.
And,
Yeah.
No, everyone knows it. You're learning it. Everyone else.
Fair,
knows
yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's why I'm rolling my eyes at him.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Because
oh my God.
I'm getting grief right now. People are out of their way
Your
to
team
text
sucks.
me about, hey, nice game the team played the other day. I know they suck right now. Got to fire the coach. I've been saying that for 3 years. But last year, covering the Western Conference Final, we were in Dallas, and then the Stars practiced in Frisco, Texas, which is literally
Home of Blake Fiddler.
Yeah.
yes,
Hey.
yes. That's where Blake's from.
Well,
and
his
because
dad's doing real estate.
Yeah,
I covered his dad.
Vern, yeah.
There you go.
So Vern and I are
Yeah.
good friends. Yeah, Vern's doing a good job. Like he's real estate now. He's making a lot of money in real estate. So we were there, and it's funny, is Vern was there, and then Colby Armstrong was there. We were just, it was a little Western Hockey League reunion between the three of us. We're sitting there. And then someone said, oh, the Cowboys practice facility is just like 5 minutes away from here. It's like, what? It's like, yeah, 5 minutes away. So what had happened is like, okay, so we finished with the Stars. I had to go right instead of going all the way back into Dallas proper, which was like, it was 35 minutes there, 30
Yeah.
minutes. It's quite the ways to Frisco, Texas. And the Oilers are having a press conference later that evening. So like, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go check out the practice facility. And there's a little cafe there. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I walked around the facility and I walked around a little bit. And you can take guided tours, but I didn't have time to take the guided tour. And I went into the coffee shop and ordered a sandwich and coffee. And I started writing and working and writing. And then I was wearing an NHL shirt, said NHL on it. And then the waiter comes by, a young kid. He's like, oh, you're here for the hockey. He's like, yeah, I work for the NHL and all this. And I told him the story. I'm here because I'm a huge Cowboys fan. I wanted to see the Cowboys practice facility. And there was a lady across the way who heard me. And she goes, I don't mean to eavesdrop on your conversation, but my fiance works for the Cowboys. He's like, really? Because we used to work for the Stars, and now he works for the Cowboys. If you want a tour, we'd be happy to give you a tour.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, we'll give you a tour of the facility. So I was like, so she gave me his number, or I gave her my number, and he texted me. He's like, oh yeah, I'm in town for games, whatever it was, games 1 or games 2. He goes, well, when can you come down? Come down and we'll give you a tour at like 9 a.m. And at the tour it was like $50 or something. But I was like, I'd love it. And they went down to the practice facility, the dressing rooms, everything. They gave us this whole tour. And then they let us go on the practice field because the Cowboys weren't practicing.
Yeah.
They were having, what are they called? OTAs, whatever. Optional, whatever it is.
Off-season.
What does OTA stand for? I can't remember.
Official training activities or team activities.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there was no one on the field, so they said, hey, and the field is a mini replica of Texas Stadium. They have the star in the middle, Cowboys on the end zone. So you guys want to go and take a picture of the field? You can go take a picture of the field. So I was like, so I run out the field and took a picture right on the star, and it was the best day. It was awesome. So then on the way out, you go through the gift shop.
Yeah.
So you're through the gift shop, and I looked at this helmet, official helmet. I had a couple of replica helmets that I have, the Cowboys helmet, little plastic ones. And I looked at this thing, it's $350 US. And I'm like looking at it, and I was like, I don't want to regret not buying it. Like, in my life, I never regret doing something. I always regret not doing something. So I'm taking it home with me. I had no idea how I was going to get it on the plane. How I was going to take it home.
How did you get it on the plane?
To be honest, the trainers offered to bring it back for me. Here,
Yeah.
I think it was.
Did you have a leftover UGG box?
Yeah, exactly. Put it in there.
UGG box. I bought this tote bag, right? This little tote bag, and then that was my carry-on, and I checked my luggage on the way home. And so I had this little tote bag with a helmet in it, and it's like they're x-raying it, and I was like, I hope they let me on the plane. Because you could do damage with that thing, right? If I started swinging that thing, you could do some damage. Like they don't let you on with if your toothpaste is too big, but you're not gonna get me on with this helmet.
I have an NFL helmet in my carry-on bag.
No problem. So I carried it on. It was great. And what was funny about that trip? So we're coming home. And then there was a kid comes up to us and he goes, you guys work for the NHL? You guys have some meetings here or something? He's like, no, we're here for the Western Conference Final. The Stars are playing the Oilers. He goes, oh, I know. I play in the NHL. And I looked at him and was like, what's your name? Tyson Yost. Tyson, how you doing? But I didn't recognize him. But I play in the NHL. I was like,
how about that?
Oh, man.
What? And then me and I think it was Nick Kostanika were looking at him going, what? What's your name? Tyson Yost. And I had talked to Tyson like 2 months earlier when he was in town because he's from the area.
Yeah.
So it was
good one.
Funny. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Hey, Tyson, how you doing?
That was a good Road Warriors. Okay, we'll continue on because I love story time. But we do have a qualifier. Trev, who do we have on the line? We have Trent. Yes. And is he ready to go on the phone? Trent, you there? Hello.
Hey, the wrench, how are you?
I'm good.
Sorry, I held him on for too long.
No, Trent's in a good mood. DVD apologizes for telling his story, but congrats, Trent. You're our latest qualifier for the
story.
FlyAway. Oh, he loved it.
Great
See
story.
DVD?
There was no lagging during on hold.
Okay, good. I'm happy to hear that. Trent, so you're in for the draw for the FlyAway to LA, brought to you by EST and the 780. Who you bringing if you win, and which game would you look forward to the most?
I definitely have to bring my wife.
My wife, he says.
Toss up between the NBA and the NFL since I've never been to either. So,
nice.
Both of those would be fantastic.
Yeah, you know what? The new stadium, you heard Matt Barrett talking about the Clippers game. He had a good time. We enjoyed our Clippers game that we went to.
Clippers experience.
This is going to be a great trip. So congratulations, Trent. Best of luck to you in the final draw. Appreciate you tuning in, and thanks for playing along.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
There you go. Trent is our latest qualifier for the FlyAway to LA, proudly presented by EST and the 780. It pays to listen. It
does.
Oh, fantastic. All right. I should mention, too, the finish long drink. What?
Never mind.
What?
There's a phone call.
I'm trying to do a read here.
Sorry. I was thinking I shouldn't take that, but I should take it.
Would you like a Finnish long drink, which is the legend of 1952?
No.
A drink unlike any other sparkling refreshment, real liquor, longdrink.com/Canada. Go on, Derek. This is your show.
No, go ahead. No, I had a phone call. I was like, oh, should I take that? And then after I decided not to take it, then I thought maybe I should take it. So
Okay.
yeah.
Trent liked your story, so it's all
There you
good.
go.
It was good. I think it's a good
The
story.
Clippers stories was good too because the Clippers, remember, we got those tickets for free.
Oh yeah,
We were
yeah.
in LA. We asked the PR guy for the Clippers, "Can we go to the game?" Yeah, how many of you? And they put us like right down in the middle row. The seats were worth $45 at the Clippers game. And they were worth $250 at the Lakers.
Next
Oh,
night,
yeah.
we were looking
Next
it up.
night
We're
at the
like,
Lakers game.
Exactly.
And then we tried to email the Lakers guy. Hey, you think we can? Not a chance. He says, not a chance. So they let us go to the Clippers, but the Lakers, they no.
bit of a difference there.
Yeah, a little bit.
difference
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Okay, DVD has his dream scenario where he gets a tour of the Cowboys facility, walks away, dropping. That's probably what, like $500 Canadian.
Whatever it is, I do the math.
Whatever. It worth it,
try not to
obviously.
think about it when I'm in the States with
Yeah.
with the exchange rate. When
Yeah,
you're paying
yeah, exactly,
$10
right.
Canadian
Painful.
American for a beer, you don't start.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But he gets his legit game used helmet from the Cowboys. Like, what would be your ultimate trip like that where you're like, okay, when am I going to be here again? I have to buy something. I got to come away with something.
I
here.
don't even know. It'd probably be something to do like football. And we're talking football related. Like it'd be football. Like I'm a Denver Broncos fan.
Yeah.
So
Tough one yesterday, though.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Denver defense and fantasy. If you got them, you're loving it. Yeah, I don't know what it would be, but like I'm a big Denver Broncos fan. It'd be something stupid like a signed jersey or something. I don't know. It'd be something.
Like a John Elway.
Yeah, maybe or a Peyton
Or is
Manning of some
Elway
kind.
like before your time?
Well, I was born in '97, so that
Well, he retired what, 98?
Yeah, so I like really started watching the Broncos when like Tim Tebow kind of came on. Like
Yeah.
they started with like Kyle Orton and Jay Cutler for a bit,
I remember
and then
that.
it was Tebow time for a bit, and yeah, there's been some weird quarterback situations in Bronco history recently, but yeah, it'd be something along those lines maybe. I don't know exactly what it would be, but yeah, I've always wanted to go to Denver and go to.
Have you been at Denver?
No, that's one of the places on my bucket list, but
It's a good city.
I hear it's a great sports town.
Yeah, awesome sports town. The golf there is fantastic. Obviously, like this, it's just a good place.
Yeah.
Like I always enjoy it there. Hockey city for sure. Yeah, that would be a good one. I don't know if I have a situation like that where I'd be like, I'm here. I need to walk away with something to remember this.
Yeah.
Because I'm so infatuated with this team. Like I've been to a Cardinals game. If I went to their practice facility, I'd be like, oh, cool. This is a mediocre team at best. I don't know. I wouldn't have that like kid in a candy shop moment, I don't think.
It's one of those things where it's like, I think once you're there, you're like, oh man, you see something, you're like, I gotta have that.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're thinking about it now and be like, oh, this would be our dream. But I think once you're in the shop or something, you see something, you're like, that's cool. Right? That's probably what it comes down to. That's probably something silly and something ridiculous that would sit on your shelf.
Yes. Thank you for saying that because it reminded me of being in St. Louis at the team store at Busch Stadium. And I went, and you're like, this is an amazing store. I'm like, I have to walk away with something.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I grabbed this like baseball t-shirt, so 3/4 length,
I love
right?
those,
And
yeah.
it was like a blue on blue with a nice Cardinals logo across the front. And I'm like, man, this large looks kind of small and slender. And Jack Michaels walks up to me. He's like, that's a women's shirt, you idiot. I was like, what? It's
That's
nice.
No, I like that. There's stadiums where you have to actually leave the stadium and go through the gift shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stadium. That's genius. They do that in Dodger Stadium.
Smart.
They do that. I
think in Minnesota.
think I dropped $200 on a Dodgers jersey. My dad's like, you're insane. I was like, well, I'm gonna treat this well. Like, got one of those really sweet blue Dodgers jerseys.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it fit me so well. I'm like, oh, if I don't take this, I'm gonna regret it. That's the thing. When you're there and you're never gonna see this again.
Right.
And so you gotta that's when I go to Europe and I go to these soccer tournaments, I bring these balls back. I brought a ball back from the World Cup.
Does it have the chip, the plug-in chip, or was it?
It's an official ball. There wasn't a
Okay.
replica. I bought my nephew a replica. Don't tell him that. But so I bought him a replica. It was like $50, and then
Yeah.
I bought myself the $250 real ball.
Nice.
And then a bunch of us came back with a ball. Like there was a bunch of guys that went to the World Cup and came back with a ball. And,
Yeah.
And then we were like, I thought, oh, how am I going to stuff this in my luggage? I got to deflate it. So we bought a needle, deflated the ball, and then I remember one guy had the ball in his hand like this, and like, oh, we just deflated it and stuck it in our luggage. He goes, yeah. It says right here, do not deflate the ball because it was a special ball.
Oh, no.
It's like, do not deflate this ball because it kind of loses its shape a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, idiot. So like all these people had these balls. They were like, they did not deflate them. They just had a ball and I put it in their.
You deflated yours?
I did a bunch of it, because I did not notice. I pumped it back up. It's fine. I wasn't gonna play with it.
Yeah, you're not using.
You're not
exactly.
using it,
No.
so I'm not gonna play with it. So I just have it on a stand there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have an opposite of that. Going to Oakland, watching A's games. I thought to myself, I used to love the Oakland A's. They were the Trappers, or the Trappers were their affiliate. I remember the like Scott Spezio, Jason Giambi, Eric Chavez days, Miguel Tejada. Like they had a nice run. They won back-to-back PCL championships, 96 and 97 at Remax Field. And I was like, well, like, I don't know if I'm ever going to come to an Oakland A's game. And
Well, now you won't anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this was like 6-7 years ago during the Oilers 2017 playoff series against the Sharks, and we had days off, so we would go into Oakland. Roxy Bernstein from ESPN, he's friends with Jack Michaels, would always give us tickets because he was doing the radio call. And there was like 10,000 people there. Gene was with us one night. This drunk Oakland fan just took to him and like was talking his ear off. And Gene, being the nicest guy in the world, is just like, oh, no way. And I'm like, Gene, we didn't do anything like play buff or anything like that. We just let Gene suffer by himself. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, maybe I'm going to go to a team store and see if I can, like the Oakland hat, the green, with the gold. I'm like, great colors. I have no affiliation to the team anymore, but it'd be cool to say I bought this at, Oakland Coliseum, which is a terrible stadium.
Oh yeah. Nope.
And you go in there and it's like a dingy floodlight and like the shelving is like from 1967. I'm like, this is just not appealing whatsoever. You're talking about the Cowboys gift shop. You talk about the Dodgers gift shop, Chargers, Cardinals. And then I go in there and it like smells like stale popcorn and who knows what. And I'm like, this is not a good experience.
Now might be the time to buy some Oakland A's gear, though.
Well, yeah.
Right? They're blowing it all out. It becomes vintage, does it not?
I would think so.
It's like a Whalers jersey trying to find a Whalers jersey.
Right? Like, well, now
Or those old like Allen Iverson Sixers jerseys. They're like a style thing now.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good point.
So you didn't buy the
It's actually not bad. Maybe we'll have to go buy some.
You didn't, no.
Athletics.
Get some A's stuff. Oakland
It's
stuff.
great. Like you said, great colors like the yellow and the like the
classic.
green. It works out great. I played men's fast pitch in Melfort, Saskatchewan for the Melfort Athletics. So it was the same type of style.
nice.
Did you guys just get their stuff?
Pretty much, yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
the jerseys were a little different, but like we just wore athletics hats and yeah.
Those new era hats are the best.
No, they're unreal. Yeah,
Yeah, they're fantastic. Best hats in the world by far. Keep texting us, 780-218-9999. Tom Gazzola, Matt Barrett, Derek Van Diest with you here on the EST Hangout. We've got about 25 more minutes. We should mention Whale and the Wolf playing at Gedfest tomorrow. It's the Gord Edgar Downey Fest. Ged has been an annual show held in Calgary over the past few years, and it's dated around the passing of Gord Downey. Show built to honor the legacy of the late great frontman of the Tragically Hip. And this year's show, it's usually in Calgary. It's coming up to Edmonton. Features Whale and the Wolf, followed by a set played by Edmonton's premier Tragically Hip tribute band, Hypnotical. It's at Midway Music Hall tomorrow, October 19th. Proceeds from ticket sales going to the Ben Stelter Foundation and the Alberta Cancer Foundation. Even though the boys from Whale and the Wolf said it's not a contest to beat Calgary at raising funds, but it kind of is.
Yeah, exactly.
And Edmonton always turns out for things like that. Gedfest, check it out. Tickets available, I should say that. Gedfest.ca. Go check it out with the proceeds going to a couple of good causes. This one texting in saying Melon are the best hats in the world. Am I missing something? Melon? Melin?
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, me neither. I should look that up. But
Interesting.
yeah.
Have to maybe try that out.
Yeah, exactly. DVD, any other, like, I was going to ask you, Matt, actually, do you get excited when and I know you're on the road and we always try to sneak away if we're on the road to other events and games and stuff like that. Since you've been a broadcaster, has it affected the way you go to sporting events now, the way you watch, or can you get into fan mode?
Hard to say. Like, I haven't really been a fan at too many games since I've truly become a broadcaster.
Right?
But I notice when I'm sitting there, I watch and like I can hear the play-by-play in my head, and I can start calling it myself in my head. And
Really?
I just start thinking about it in my head, and yeah, it's a little weird. But I try and shut it off. Like I took my little brother to the game against the Flyers on Tuesday, and Try to get into fan mode, enjoy the game. It was awesome. But yeah, like when I'm on the road, I try and like, if I'm not doing a work related thing, I'm going to try and, just enjoy
Fan out.
Yeah, a little bit and just kind of enjoy the sport and enjoy the game. But haven't been able to do that a whole ton yet. But yeah, hopefully more. That's true.
I always wonder about that. Yeah, so the play-by-play is happening in your head for
A little
me.
bit.
I mean, I'm definitely afraid of play-by-play. So
really?
yeah, like that's the one thing I've never even dabbled in because I'm like I have no confidence in ever trying it. Color commentary, analyst stuff like that. Like I've done it.
Yeah.
Like when I was in Oklahoma City, I would go on the road with the Barons and Jim Byers, who was the voice of the Oklahoma City AAA team as well as the hockey team. Does horse racing out there. He's like, Tom, do you want to be the analyst and do color? I was like, yeah. Sure. Like that was fun.
Yeah.
It was nerve wracking enough, but you're with a pro that's been doing it for 40 years. They make it easy for you. But yeah, I have a hard time getting into fan mode. Well, like I go to a football game here and there. And
No,
can
I do broadcast on WHL.
Yeah.
Who came in through town a couple years ago asked me. But there's some really good play-by-play guys in that league and some guys that have been there doing it for a long time. Just,
Regan
really
Bartel's been in
Regan's been there
Kelowna for a long time.
forever.
Booner was in Red Deer for
Yeah.
decades.
Luna was there for a long time.
Bob Ridley.
Well, Rich isn't doing it anymore.
I know, but he was there. How many years did he
He was
do
driving the
medicine?
bus for the longest
Yes,
time.
he
Yeah,
was.
he was
like-
driving. I asked Ridley once. I said, Bob, him and I were good friends, and I said, Bob, why are you still driving the bus? I got 3 ex-wives. And I was like,
Oh,
Enough said. Enough said, Bob. Right? So he's a great guy. He's a really fantastic guy. The players know him really well. It's great stories of him just, you'll call a game, he'll pick up the bus, pick up the team early in the morning, drive 6 hours, call a game, pack it all up, do his post-game show, get on the bus, load it up, and then drive everyone home, and everyone's passed out on the bus, and you're like, start doing the math of how long this 60-year-old
how long he's
has
been up,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness.
That's funny. Like, okay, you're about to go on the road and spend some time on the bus here with the Oil Kings, but I was talking to Brant Myers the other day, and we were talking about bus trips, and he's like, man, there were some times driving around, especially in the mountains, and you're looking at the bus driver, and you're like, is this guy all there? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, I've never thought of that. Like, he's like, I would be up at night watching the bus driver, making sure he was okay. I could never sleep. And he was telling these stories. I'm like, you know what, Brent? I think I would be the same way. Like, can you relax on the bus when you're on those trips?
Yeah, you put faith in the bus
In
driver.
bus-
I mean,
After a while, you're like, oh, he knows
Yeah,
what he's doing.
like-
He would just pass out.
I was in obviously Melfort and Nipawin when the Humboldt crash
Right,
happened.
yeah.
And the first couple trips you're a little nervy, and if the brakes go on a little too heavy, you kind of startle up and tighten up. But after the first couple trips, it's fine. I usually sleep a fair bit, put the headphones in, and just kind of
Doze
chill.
off, yeah.
It's hard to sleep on a bus when you're 6'5", but I managed to make it work. And yeah, you just put the faith in bus driver. You start to get to know the bus drivers,
Yeah.
so you have just more and more faith in a lot of them, and they're pros. So I don't have too much issue letting them do their thing, because if I thought I could do a better job, maybe I would be, but I know I can't do a better
Right.
job, so I'll let them do their thing.
Any times where like the bus has gotten stuck and you had to get out there and push? Because I've got a story like that, but
So, not when we've had to get out and push, fortunately, and there haven't been losses where we've had to get out and the guys have had to get out and walk, thankfully. I don't think that happens really anymore.
Yeah.
But we were coming home from Flin Flon it was like first road trip of the year.
yeah.
Up to Flin Flon. So it's in like late September. So it's not too cold out yet, thankfully, but we're coming back. And if you've driven from Flin Flon to Melfort, it is about a 5-hour drive, 4.5 hours, and about 4 hours of it, 3.5 hours of it are no cell service. Like none.
dead spot.
None. And so we're coming back and the bus slows down and pulls aside and everyone kind of wakes up and there's like a belt that broke or something. And we had to like jimmy rig putting a belt on this bus, and we delayed probably half an hour, 45 minutes getting home. And everyone's like on the bus like, oh my God. And it's like a Saturday night and we get home at like 4 instead of 3 in the morning or something silly like that, right? So
they
that was
fixed
one of
it
the ones.
right there?
Oh yeah, the bus driver just had like, they usually have some spare parts kicking around, just some
yeah.
random stuff to get them through. And luckily he had a belt, and we were only probably an hour outside of town at that point, but still no cell service. So even if we had an issue, like, what are we going to do? Right? Like, even if we couldn't fix it, like, what are we doing? Right? So it was a little nerve wracking at that point, but yeah, that's junior hockey on the bus. Right. And yeah, a couple of us got out and shine our flashlights in there to try and help them. And yeah,
Do whatever you can.
yeah. Shout out to Perry. Perry was our bus driver. He was great.
Perry, you anything like that when you were on the bus?
No, I just it's funny because I drove to Saskatchewan once to go to Moose
One
Jaw.
time?
One time. Well,
Okay.
So because most times I don't drive there. I'll whatever. Again,
Yes,
but,
yes, I'm teasing you.
So the Oil Kings play Moose Jaw on the first, and then I decided I was looking at the map, and instead of going this way, I'm gonna go through Lloyd. I'm gonna come up around, and then that's when I discovered the highways in Saskatchewan. They're littered with potholes, and they just put
the secondary ones for sure. Yeah,
they just put a cone there. I'm like, what's that cone for? And then this massive, Jesus. It was like, did they don't fix the roads in Saskatchewan? They just there's a little cone there,
farm roads,
telling you that there's a massive pothole, and you're going 120 down these roads, and holy mackerel! It's like I can't. And then they said to me, don't drive home on those secondary roads because you'll hit a pothole. Like take the main roads, and it was a nice scenic ride into Moose Jaw. It was nice. You come around.
Moose Jaw, it's like double lane most of the way.
It's kind of like Jasper, that the trees, and like, wow, this is really. Look out for that pothole. Look out for this. You're like going back like this. I'm like, oh my god. You ever thought of just fixing some of these roads here in Saskatchewan? Nope. So I can imagine doing those trips at night. Like you're just like,
There were times I'd drive myself because then I'd bring a color guy with me on the road. So if we'd do Humboldt or Nipawin, they would be, it's like an hour trip. So you'd pull the color guy in with you and take the vehicle up. And there's some of those secondary highways up through, up from Melfort to Nipawin to Humboldt, they're secondary ones. And you're like, oh man. And sometimes, it's a struggle. And I remember one time it was like mid-December and we're coming home from Humboldt. Going there was fine, but coming home, it started to like snow and it was blizzarding, and we're like white knuckling, going like 60 back to on this secondary highway, and you cut your teeth in rural Sask.
Well, the last time you were here, I was talking to you about like the
grid roads,
and I'm like, why at the gravel highways? I'd never seen that before. I had to go up to Meadow Lake for it was the election. It was a federal election, and they're like, Tom, you're going to Meadow Lake. I'm like, what?
Like, where is that?
And I'm with a guy from York, and he's like, oh yeah, we're going to take this highway. I'm like, dude, this road is gravel. How long is it going to be gravel? He goes, the whole way.
Yeah.
What? Where are we?
Yeah.
He's like, you're in Saskatchewan, dude.
I realized the bigger the cone, the bigger the pothole. So if it's just a little cone, it's a little hop. But if they got the big size cone, look out, man. And it's right in the middle of the highway, too.
Oh, that's
Cone coming up. We're not going to fix the road. We'll just put a cone here to let you know that there's a big pothole coming. It was like, it was. Other than that, it was a nice scenic drive outside of. But I remember the first one. I was like, I was flying. I was doing 120. What is that cone in the middle? Jesus!
Especially if you go out through like just as the canola is blooming, you get all the yellow canola on the side. It's awesome.
It's really nice.
Yeah,
it's
very
scenic,
pretty.
but it's like, wow, okay. Driving in Saskatchewan, I just fix the roads. Like,
please fix these.
One thing being back in Alberta, I've noticed, I'm like, all these highways are like fantastic. Like the highways are great. Like I'm hitting Highway 2 all the way down to Calgary or taking this highway over. I'm like, oh, it's great.
Yeah. Well, you're spoiled now.
Yeah, I know.
Spoiled, yeah.
Coming back home, I'm like, this
is
is what home feels like.
yeah.
I do remember. I have one bus story where it was bad. We were out in northeast of here. It was we were up there to play a game. That team, I'm not going to say which team it was, sent its bus to pick us up. We all went up there. We played this game, Rowdy Barn, on like a Friday night. There's a dinner afterwards, and then we're back on the bus heading home. It's like -40 in February. Yeah. We're not like 30 minutes out of town. Bus breaks down.
Oh no.
And bus driver like radios to somebody, and we're like, what the hell's going on? He's not talking to our team execs and stuff. And next thing you know, like a club wagon van pulls up, Bussy gets out and just hops on.
And leaves
us. Closes the door. And we're like, what the hell's going on? So we're going up to the coach and we're like, what did he do? What's going on? Like, this isn't our bus. What? They're like, we don't know. He just left. I think it's going to be okay. No service. Same thing. Like you were in a dead spot. And sure enough, like one of my teammates is a heavy duty mechanic. And I'm like, Cam, like, can you go fix this thing, please? Like, I know it's minus 40, but we'll help you. And he's like, I could, but I'm 3/4 of the way through this bottle of Crown Royal, and I'm not going outside now. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the beauty of playing Junior B, obviously. And then, sure enough, like 45 minutes later, there was like 10 of these club vans, and they took us all home.
There you go.
But man, it was a freaky kind of situation. You're out in the middle of the nowhere.
You're sitting there, you're
Alberta.
like, what happens if we're stuck out here? Like, I'm not prepared to be out here for more than like an hour.
Exactly. And like it's getting colder and colder, but sure enough, we got out of there okay. But that was a wild one.
Yeah.
If you have any stories, 780-218-9999 on the road. Melon hats are nice. These kind.
Those are cool.
Yeah, those are pretty nice.
Okay.
I know which ones you're talking about now.
Speaking of hats, did you see there was a tweet yesterday? So Scarlett Johansson and is dating. They're married to
Colin Jost.
Colin Jost.
Yeah.
And so they're both at the Mets game, and he's got a Mets hat on, and she's got the Met hat on from the Metropolitan.
Oh, really?
So the joke was like, honey, you need to wear a Mets hat. I don't have one. Oh, this'll do. The Met. Close enough, I said. It's close enough. It was so funny. Like, it's Scarlett Johansson.
It has to be deliberate because the
cameras are gonna be on the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I thought it was a great tweet. It was really funny. And like I said, it's Scarlett. She can wear whatever she wants.
Yeah, she can.
She is like, the Met. I thought it was
I want to
so
see
funny.
this.
Yeah. So and he's got the Mets hat on, and she's got the Mets.
That's unbelievable.
Poor Mets. I think they've come back to earth.
Yeah.
They got crushed
They
last night.
got crushed the last 2 games. They were crushed. So they just, it's tough that's a tough lineup to go through. So it looks like it will be the Bronx Bombers. And my first time I actually kind of started following baseball when I was a kid. It's in the 80s when the Dodgers and the Yankees were playing. And do you remember Goose Gossage?
Yep.
I know the name.
So I remember Goose Gossage, big closer, big guy, come in, throw 100 miles an hour. A little Ron Say, I think it was a shortstop. Remember Ron Say for the Dodgers? So he's sitting there, he's digging in, and Goose just plunks him right in the head, like with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And Say goes down, and he's holding his head like this, and so you knew it was bad. And I was like, oh no. Wow. So this baseball's interesting. Just plunked him, and that was the first time I kind of got into baseball. And then the Jays in the 90s obviously were good. So I was in school when they were winning.
Yeah.
They're good. When they traded for Roberto Alomar, the greatest trade of all time, right? Any sport, you trade for a guy like I remember broadcasters say, how do you trade this guy? How do you trade this guy? I know San Diego was, like, how do you trade him? Like, he's still my all-time favorite player. And once they got Alomar,
Joe Carter, Alomar, Paul Molitor.
Yeah, those other guys, those other pieces were added later, but those 3 were the crux of the.
Didn't they have
Joe
Ricky
Carter.
Henderson?
Well, Ricky came on, for the second World Series. So a lot of guys kind of jumped on the team after. It's kind of like what the Oilers are doing now, right? They have their core guys, and a lot of guys go, hey, I want to win a championship. Let me join this team. So Paul Molitor did that. Ricky Henderson did that. Dave Winfield did that. So you look at some of those guys that wore Jays uniforms, right? Like, you don't think of Dave Winfield playing for the Jays.
No, I was just going to say Dave Winfield.
Yeah.
Jack Morris.
Jack Morris, like they were coming through. But it started with those 3, and then those 3 are all the best players that ever played for the Blue Jays. And, so then you became a Jays fan.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember the 93 World Series watching that home run.
I was watching it live, and I was jacked because I had it on VCR. I was recording it. So I have it at home on a VCR. Anyone has a VCR. I can't even find a VCR to watch those tapes anymore. But yeah,
that's retro.
That is
I was
retro.
excited. I was like,
That's
oh my God,
analog.
I got this game on tape. Because back then, if you didn't tape it, you didn't see it.
Right.
Right? Like, they didn't show replays. You couldn't go back on the internet and, find, like, if you didn't tape it, you didn't see it. And I had it on tape because I wasn't sure. And we were watching it with my friends, and I was most excited. I was excited about not the home run, the fact that I had the home run on tape. And I was taping the game. I was
Might be worth
oh my
something
God,
now,
I'm recording this game. This is so awesome.
Might be worth a pretty penny.
I don't know. I don't even know if those, like, they're probably all broken up and staticky and stuff. And
Yeah, they deteriorate. Good luck
the
with that.
VHS. Yeah.
You know what? You can go on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
It's there.
Yeah.
It's definitely there.
It's on
Someone
YouTube.
has digitized it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It has. But back in the
Enhanced
day,
it.
it's steady. So, yeah, I remember that home run very vividly.
Joel texts into the Paris Jewelers inbox. Weaver looks like a 15-year-old. I call him Baby Weaver. That's not nice, Joel.
AB Weaver.
Yeah, Weaver. I'm just teasing. All right.
Yeah, I got all fired up yesterday. I was watching the highlights and
Why? When?
yesterday when we were watching,
We're watching the
highlights, I
baseball. I'm
banged
on the air
table.
and you're banging the table.
I'm like, well, why are you pitching him? What are you doing? I was like, they're up 3-1.
Oh, yeah,
They're
yeah.
up 3-1. There was a guy on base. I get it, but it's Aaron Judge. Just put him on.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They pitched him and he crushed it. I guess Stanton's hitting behind him, so he put him on. Then he can hit your home run. Like that's murderer's row too. That
It
Yeah,
is,
it
yeah.
is.
I used to tell. I used to tell Tina.
Your friend Tina, yeah.
Watch these guys. This guy either strikes out or hits a home run. And it was one or the other, right?
Yep.
If he's not hitting a home run, he's striking out. So, okay.
All right, we have a few minutes left. Text us 780-218-9999. It's the EST Hangout. Tom Gazzola, Matt Barrett from the Oil Kings play-by-play voice, and then Derek Van Dies from NHL.com. All right, Matt, I'm looking at the schedule coming up. We've talked about the extended road trip with the stop at home.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Red Deer, and then Everett.
Yep.
Portland with its new logo. Tri-Cities, Spoke, Seattle,
Yep.
Wenatchee, Medicine Hat, Swift. Then you go home. Then it's Swifty. Or no, then Spoke. Then PA. Do you memorize the schedule, by the way?
Usually like just a couple games ahead. Like I
Yeah.
try and focus just like a few games ahead, and then just kind of. I can't memorize all of it. It's all on my calendar.
Right.
So, I try and memorize it like a few games ahead just so I know in our next home game. Always want to remember the next home game, right?
That's important.
November 13th against Med Hat.
That's right.
Oilkings.ca for tickets. There you go. Teddy Bear Toss. Up into the second deck already for selling
Good.
tickets.
Well, I mean, they led the league in
Attendance last year.
attendance. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Sunday against Red Deer, what kind of game are we thinking we're going to see there?
Yeah, like Oilkings did well against Red Deer on Saturday there. Red Deer plays hard. They play physical. It's Sutter hockey, right? They're going to defend well. They're going to hit you. They've got a little bit of skill. Ollie Josephson's really good, and I don't know if we'll see Kalen Lind back. I know he got hurt a couple games ago. We didn't see him on Saturday, but they've got some skill, and Oil Kings will have their work cut out. But that's a good thing. It's a division rival. Second of 8 meetings this year, so it's obviously will be a little wild at times, but you'll love to see it. So should be a good one on Sunday before the guys get going on the U.S. trip.
Only 8 games against Red Deer this year.
Yeah, only.
In the U.S.
It was 9 last year.
Yeah, well, in the U.S., those teams play each other like 12, 13
I
times.
know. It's
crazy.
Being facetious, too.
All right, okay. I know that was the sarcasm. I got the sarcasm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in Swift last year, Medicine Hat was the team that they played a couple extra times. So they played 9.
It was just like, what the? It felt like we were living in
We'd stay at the
St.
St. Paul Hotel there
Yeah.
across the street from the rink. And that's where the Oilers would stay. And then I think there was, I don't know if they stay there anymore. Now they're in Minneapolis, but I know that when there was an issue with Steve Tambolini, he's a GM of the Oilers, and they wouldn't give him a late checkout. Oh no, we're never staying here again. I don't understand how the hotel would not give the general manager a yes, sir, you could stay. All the money they're spending at that hotel.
Yeah.
And it was a nice, it was a pretty swanky hotel for
The
St.
hotels
Paul.
they stay at are
It was
great.
really nice. It was really nice, and so I think.
Damn,
I remember
didn't get a late
we went
checkout.
back and it's like we were staying in Minneapolis and had to bus half an hour to the game.
Yeah.
Why you guys staying in Minneapolis? Oh, because we're not staying in St. Paul.
Steve had
hotel anymore.
a run-in with the hotel in
What?
St. Paul.
Had a falling out. Yeah.
Big customer, the Oilers are a big customer, and you're not. Is it really gonna bother you if he stays an extra 2 hours in his room?
Yes. I'm just
that's
being
ridiculous. Right?
sarcastic.
So, but yeah, we used to go to Minnesota. Yeah,
Wow.
those
Road.
back in those days when they're playing those teams 8